Welcome to Subramani. I'm going to talk to you about how difficult it is to answer a question like in this year in equity, in this portfolio of mine, what returns will I get, right? It is almost impossible to guess this answer right, even for a 1 year period or a 3 year period or even for a 5 year period, because it is a function of many things. First of all, it is the return that the weighted average return that you get on the whole portfolio. If there is some share which is 10% or 12% or 15%, the return on that what you get, and the one in which there is maybe 2%, 3% of the portfolio, on that what you get, you have to take a weighted average. So you have to be able to guess the return in each and every scrip of yours. Maybe there are 15 or 18 scrips. So you have to know what is the chance of the earning of the company, EPS of the 20 companies, and the PE that the market will give for that company, and therefore the return that you will get and the weight that it has in your portfolio. After you do all this exercise, you have to then say, I think you will get 15% return. Now, if you get 5%, you're wrong. If you get 25%, again you're ridiculously wrong. So this is a zero-sum game. You will never ever be able to say what is the return that you're going to get on this portfolio. Forget the equity part, even the debt part. You do not know how much interest rates are going to change. So 1% interest rate change and you have a longish portfolio, a long duration portfolio of 20 years, then 20% is gone. That's it, straight away gone. So if that is the kind of hit that an interest rate change can take, or if there is a default in the portfolio, one portfolio default in your debt fund can hurt your returns by a dramatic number, right? So similarly, the ability to guess the return in each company itself is very, very difficult. Like for example, Tata Power was at 30 rupees, and I thought at 30 rupees a dividend paying A group Tata company can't be too risky at this price, right? So I bought it, but I did not know that somebody in the market would love me so much that within about 15-18 months of my buying, they thought that it deserves a price of 300, not 30, and I participated in the whole journey. Did I ever anticipate a 10-time increase in the PE? Well, I didn't, and I don't know whether it is going to be sustainable, right? So my inability to predict swing in the market, some group of people thinking that the Tata group is the greatest group in the world and it should have this high PE, so there is a Tata Elxsi, TCS, and Tata Power, Tata Steel, Tata Motors, everything is rocking. And well, that's the truth, right? So that I was completely unable to guess the change in the PE, because my equity return depends on change in EPS and change in PE and the weight it has in my portfolio. Now if I'm talking about all this in Tata Power, if I had 200 shares, it would make no impact on my portfolio. If I had say 45,000 shares, it will make an impact on my portfolio, right? So the question of how much weight you had, so all this put together, I'll be able to say this is the return you will get. And now the funnier question, how much return will I get in this portfolio over the next 25-30 years? It is impossible to guess. And even in the 1 year range, when I used to do equity research, the most important thing was at the top what you wrote: buy, target price. Let's say Tata Power was 30 rupees, so it's a buy Tata Power, or it's a add, right? And target price 300, right? I had to give that number, and it was ridiculous. I used to laugh at myself for creating those reports, because those reports had to be created because the banker and maybe in many cases the investor never read beyond that. He just wanted to know, okay, is Tata Power a good buy? And he wanted a report. So you made a report, you gave it to him, and he said, okay, now Tata Power is a good buy. He wanted more for the rationalizing than for the decision making, right? So to him the report didn't matter, those few words mattered. What should have I said? I should have said, this looks good. If this problem in Gujarat is solved, it is even better, and therefore the Bombay market is anyway lucrative. They're collecting well, and therefore the probability of it doing well over the next 1 year is good. So you could get between 12 to 15% return, which means the 30 rupees share would quote at 35 rupees, right? That is what a 12% return. 12% return would be 3 rupees 60 paise. So about 34 rupees is what it will quote at the end of the year. I'm ignoring dividends for a minute. Dividend used to be 5% return, so that is what it is going to give you. That's what I should have said in my report, right? So my report, I would have looked ridiculously wrong because somebody decided to change the PE. As an analyst, and as a very, very good analyst, you can at best have a reasonably accurate EPS. So I can tell you the EPS of this company is going to be 30 rupees, right? So therefore, what price will it have? Well, what happens if I think in 2007, I think Tata Power did the PE of 100. So if the EPS is 30 and the PE that it reached in the past, that is 2007, then the share price could be 3000 rupees, right? So I have to give you a range from anything from 30 rupees to 3000 rupees, which is completely useless as far as you are concerned, but it gives me a lot of protection. Or say, let me give you a range of saying I think the PE will change, etc., etc. So the price could be anything between 180 to 210 or something like that. Then what happens is, you're not right or wrong, you are in the probability range. Probably if you go back to school, the continuous probability. Two people are about to meet in the garden between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. One guy is likely to come late, one guy is likely to come early, but this fellow will wait extra 10 minutes if he comes late. Normally A comes 10 minutes late, B comes 5 minutes early. So how long will B have to wait to meet A? What is the probability of their meeting? When you do something like this, you arrive at probability. So I can arrive at a probability of Tata Power shares, I can arrive at a probability of Tata Steel shares, I can arrive at a probability of Vedanta shares, I can arrive at a probability of the share price based on what I think how the metal rally will pan out, or how the pharma rally will pan out if it's Sun Pharma, how the power rally will pan out in case of Tata Power or HDFC Bank. Who thought HDFC Bank and HDFC Limited would get merged? So again, completely missed the bus, because I had assumed that 8% of my portfolio or 10% of my portfolio HDFC Limited. That's completely gone. Now I have to adjust that EPS into HDFC Bank, and the EPS and the PE will change there. So based on that, what will be the return on my portfolio, right? That's the question that you are asking. Many people don't want to hear saying there is a probability of this being the return. This is the range of returns that you are capable of getting in your portfolio. Because I talk to people about their retirement. Retirement means, let us say you stop working at 60, or at 60 you have decided that you don't need to work and you're going to live till the age of 95. You assume you're going to live till. So if you are asking me to guess what is the return that the portfolio will give over the next 35 years, completely beats me. Why are you even asking me that question? I have zero competence of being able to tell you that this is what will happen. I have a portfolio which I have created where I had zero ability to predict how much will be the next year return. I have no clue how much will be the return in the HDFC Top 100 or iPro Discovery or Mirai Emerging Blue Chip. I have no clue what will be the return, right? I do an SIP in a debt fund called Lakshya Nivesh of Nippon. I'm sure I'm now getting a decent return because it's an old start, but if you had started let's say 1 year earlier, you'd be sitting on a negative return, right? But if you have started very early, you might be sitting on an 8-9% kind of a return. I think I have something like an 8% return on a credit risk fund, right, which is unheard of, right? So these things happen. I don't know what is the rate of return that I'm going to get in most of the shares, and therefore my ability to predict what will happen. I don't know who will win the 2024 election. I do not know who will win the 2028 or 29 election. None of this is known, right? how are you going to predict? And however, I had no clue 5 years ago that there will be capital gains tax on equity shares. Earlier taxes were there only on short term, there was long term was tax free, now both are taxed. Going forward next year there could be tax at a higher rate. Any of these things can happen, right? So here you're trying to say over a 35-year period, what will be the post-tax return or post-tax, post-inflation return, or the real return in my portfolio with which I will be able to live. Believe me, there is nobody who can be able to give you that number, right? 8% return मिलेगा, 12% return मिलेगा, you have no clue कि कितना return मिलेगा. That is the truth. So accept that, and accept that with that uncertainty, people have built portfolios. Nobody knows what return you are going to get, whether it is a Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, Vijay Kedia, Vallabh Bansali. Only thing is they've accepted and reconciled to the fact that to make money, you don't in the markets, you don't need to predict the next quarterly return, 6 monthly return, annual return, or even the 5-year or a 10-year return, because things keep changing. My portfolio is dynamic. The market is dynamic, the PE is dynamic, my returns are going to be a function of all these things, where everything is dynamic. How do you expect me to give you a static number as accurate? Like say 12% return milega. If I get 8, you're going to look like, oh God, this guy overpromised. If you get 16, you're going to say, oh, this guy had no clue as to what is going to happen in the market. If that is what you think, welcome to the club of my favorite people. I have no clue what return I'm going to get on my portfolio, and therefore I have no return, I have no clue about what return you will get on your portfolio. Asking me that question is taking me to the status of God, saying Subra can give that number. I can give you the number, that is not a problem. The fact that it won't be accurate is more or less guaranteed. Thank you.